sky so far, but I can't lose it.
Sim racers from around the globe, honoring a revolutionary era of open-wheel racing. With a beast not easily tamed, roaring around legendary circuits at breakneck speed. When engineers and drivers push boundaries, sometimes too far. When heroes muscled roaring beast wheel to wheel around the hallowed grounds. A time when the only driver aids were his 2 feet. Perfect combination of man, machine, and speed. Experience the competition and the glory of the early 80s IndyCar action. The Lionheart Retro Series, presented by Sim Experience, starts now.
The Lionheart Retro Series travels from wine country to the land of the rising sun as we kick off the second half of the season and the race to the championship. Last time out, our points leader Sage Karam faltered, allowing Mike Razmas to become only the 4th winner of the season to take over the championship lead. With 9 races to go, we return to the speedways for 5 consecutive races. This is the run to the championship. This is the Global Electronic Technology 175, presented by Minus 273. My name is Arjuna Kenkipati. Delighted you can join us here once more on racespottv for continued coverage of the Lionheart Racing Series. Joined by my friend Dylan Cole for the first time in a while here in the RaceSpot commentary booth, with TV cameras designed by RaceSpot's own Tyler Maxon. Live timing and scoring powered by our partners at ATVO. You can visit racespot.tv/Indy to follow along with your favorite team and drivers. let's dive straight into our HyperX pre-show because the Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows that we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperxgaming.com and don't forget to use the promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15 for 15% off all orders. Dylan, it's been a roller coaster of a ride so far here in 2021, halfway through the season, and despite it being Sage Karam domination for much of that first half, we have a new points leader as we head into the second half of the season and 5 consecutive speedway races to run ourselves into the championship fight.
Well, and you're coming into this race, by the way, with the 2 oval winners, 4 oval races, Mark Cohn and Sage Karam, each winning 2 of the ovals. They're not in the field tonight. So that means we're going to get a new oval winner in Season 5 of the Lionheart Retro Series. There's really no telling what's going to happen, but this is a chance for drivers like Mike Rasmussen, Matt Taylor, Aaron Morgan, Christopher Reagan to really solidify themselves at this championship battle at the top of the table. There's a really good opportunity for all drivers tonight.
It's where we kicked off 2021 in the Lionheart Speedway Series. Of course, a new championship in the Lionheart sanctioning body. The rookie Dean Moll took victory then, with so many rookies in this field. Who will take victory? Of course, Matt Taylor took his one and only Lionheart Retro Series win here 12 months ago. He is your defending series champion. Just for those who are wondering what the crowns are, those are our Triple Crown events. And Mark Cohn, who, like Dylan mentioned, is not in competition today, won both of those. For those who haven't watched the Indy 250, I would highly recommend after today's race you go and watch that as well. It was almost 4 wide across the line. Some incredible action, just previewing what we're going to see here on the run to the last Triple Crown all the way in December as we head to Fontana and the Auto Club Speedway. Here is a look at your driver's standings presented by the Sim Experience AccuForce Pro V2. And like I said, after Sage Karam's troubles last time around, not only is he no longer your points leader, Dylan, he's suspended for a race, but we should give a hearty congratulations to Sage Karam, who recently got married to Mrs. Karam. They are off enjoying their honeymoon. He'll sit out this one, but he'll be returning to try and fight for this championship.
You know, when you're suspended, usually that means you're going to miss a race that you want to be a part of. This man decides to get married and go on a honeymoon. Hopefully he and Mrs. Karam are having a fantastic time. We definitely miss his presence here, but nonetheless, we've got such great action that's going to happen in this race. We should talk a little bit about Twin Ring Motegi because, Arjuna, it's one of the most unique tracks in the world. One of the most unique ovals in the world. 2 completely different corners. One that has dirty air. One that has braking and downshifting. There's just no telling what's going to happen in this race.
We'll talk a little bit more about the track in just a moment's time. Let's work our way through these standings because, like you said, I can't wait for this one. It is such a unique racetrack. A track that, of course, Honda did build with the express intention of bringing IndyCar competition here to Japan. Here's a look at the rookie standings presented by buttkicker. Matt Taylor second in the point standings overall. First in this rookie championship. He has an almost 100-point advantage over Michael O'Brien, who is always quick on a road course. Hearing rumors that Michael O'Brien might be working his way in towards the top step of Lionheart competition. Might be part of the Lionheart IndyCar Series for the remainder of 2021. Alex Guyon jumped up those standings over the course of the last race. Of course, he was always strong. The French outfit Lavoie Motorsports, along with David Sirois, Jean-Francois Matt, some consistent runs for them from wine country. Here's a look at the team standings presented by HyperX. And Dylan, I mean, the one thing that jumps out to you here is that points advantage, almost 250 points. Avatar Auto Racing really enjoying a strong run here in 2021.
I mean, that advantage is almost insurmountable. I know we're at the halfway point of the season, and the old adage is what goes on in the first half, the opposite can happen in the second half. I just don't see that happening for any of the drivers for Avatar Auto Racing. You know, we do have a decent battle shaping up between Graphics LC Motorsports and Aero X Racing, as well as Lavoie Motorsport for that second spot in the team standings. But, I mean, when it comes to first overall, what more could you ask from the Avatar Auto Racing bosses?
I mean, and now as we head to the speedways, I think this is really, that they are strong on both the roads and the ovals, but this is going to be a run as we head into what is going to be 4 consecutive road races, a run that Avatar Auto Racing maybe tries to solidify their position at the front of this championship standings. Let's talk about the series details presented by Minus 273, the premier name in karting gloves. Their industry-leading gloves are super lightweight and durable, made of a breathable poly spandex. Whether you're a kart or a sim racer, Minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit minus273.biz, and don't forget to use the promo code minus273LHRS15 for 15% off all orders. And at the halfway point, we are well and truly done with 2 of our Triple Crown races. Of course, Dylan, with a custom fixed setup, these drivers are fighting for their share of almost $7,000 in cash and prizes.
You know, when we talk about a custom fixed setup, iRacing typically likes to put into a fixed setup something that will appease all the drivers going into the races. Something not too loose, something not too tight, somewhere in the middle ground. These drivers are some of the best on iRacing. They'll have a looser setup, one that's going to allow them to really achieve maximum speeds around the straights, around the corners, and it's pretty awesome that we have that in here.
It's great, and you know, shout out to Andrew Kinsella, who does all the setup building across of the Lionheart competition. A lot of work for him. He's got to balance this Lotus 79, then the Dallara DW12 in the Speedway Series, and then, of course, your Dallara IR18 in that IndyCar Series. Let's talk a little bit more about this race, Dylan. We have made the trip from wine country to the land of the rising sun. You mentioned it. It is a tricky, tricky track. Both ends of the race course are totally different. It's got a history of passing, but it's also got a history of caution periods. And you said getting on the brakes, but I think the key here, we're going to see the fastest drivers able to navigate their way through turns 3 and 4 by using the minimal amount of brakes. And like you said before, downshifting might be the key to victory.
May I offer you an egg in these trying times? I hope you understand the reference, because that is what this track is like. It is basically like an egg. The tight corners, or the 2 tight corners, I know we're going to talk about how long these drivers are going to be on the brakes. I just don't see it being... we're going to see a lot of close racing, and any advantage that's going to be gained in those corners, they're going to quickly be just eliminated because of the length of the straights. There's going to be a huge draft in effect, so it's almost like that minimizing of the brake time is... it doesn't mean anything, if you know what I'm trying to say.
I definitely do. And a couple of things that we should just mention before we take a look at our track map. Smallest margin of victory, 0.09 of a second. That goes back to Season 3 when Big Joe Hassett took victory over Dean Moll. Of course, I mentioned Moll's victory this past March, I guess it was, in the inaugural race of the Lionheart Speedway Series. It was a fantastic race. The next year, it was just over half a second. Matt Taylor taking that victory over Lionel Calisto. 2 very strong drivers. Watch out for them here today. The most lead changes, 30. That happened back in Season 2, and unfortunately, we did finish under the caution, the one and only time in 3 trips to the land of the rising sun that has happened. And you mentioned it, Dylan. For the first time in 2021, we will have a new oval winner with both Sage Karam and Mark Cohn not in today's field.
And that's going to lead to some interesting bits of racing. You know, some of these drivers obviously have already won this season, so with the next 5 races being on ovals, it's not going to be surprising that a driver that wins here, they might carry that momentum going forward, Arjuna.
And you take a look at this aerial look at this Twin Ring Motegi facility. It's not necessarily getting the most use, at least the oval at this point in time.
Gorgeous.
The road course, it is gorgeous, but the road course is very much still being used for all sorts of races. MotoGP, Super GT, and Super Formula, all sorts of fun things. And who can forget, it was a 6-year-long wait for Honda to get their first victory at this track. The Lionheart himself, Dan Weldon, took that victory. I believe it was back in 2004. A bit more history. Danica Patrick became the first woman winner of an IndyCar race. That was back in 2008 when she beat Elio Castro Neves, of course now a 4-time Indy 500 winner, also recently signed a deal to return to the NTT IndyCar Series. Very excited about that. You mentioned the egg shape here, Dylan. Turns 1 and 2, it is much faster, much more flowing, and then you see the other end of the racetrack. It's much tighter and much more difficult to get yourself rolled off turn number 4 with as much momentum as you can.
Arjuna, we need to take a closer look at turn 1's entry, because this is not a clean cut into the corner. Can you see as it wraps back around? Oh, it's going to stop right there. It looks like it's on a very, acute angle, or an obtuse angle, I forget from geometry class. It's not a clean, smooth entry, so you kind of have to yank the wheel at a pretty opportune time to get that car rolling around the apex.
I was actually trying to see if I could bring up my wonderful yellow pen tool and stop it and highlight that. Unfortunately, not the case, but 1.5 miles, just over 1.5 miles, and as things tend to go when it comes to both NASCAR and IndyCar, they have a different track length, but we are going to go with this traditional 1.5 mile track. 170 miles of action, 175 miles of action here today, and qualifying is well and truly underway. You can see the the timer in the top left-hand corner of your screen. 5 minutes of qualifying. Drivers get 2 flying laps. The track is all to themselves. Michael O'Brien currently at the top, a 31.879, but you can see the margin to Matt Taylor. It is 1,000th of a second between first and second.
Well, Matt Taylor, it looked like on his second flying lap, he was trying to get the pedal to the floor, but coming out of turn 4, he got very loose and hit the wall head on. So that might be the end of his qualifying run.
Nick de Groot has a little bit of a spin, but of course he is done with his 2 qualifying lap times, so don't think he'll be too disappointed at that point. De Groot has been very strong in the Lionheart Speedway Series, part of the factory-backed outfit, which also has Robert Malechka and Alexis Newsom, multi-time winners. Still waiting to see what are the lap times we're going to see. Lavoie Motorsports currently have David Sirois in 3rd with Jean-Francois Matt in 5th. They are usually much stronger when it comes to the road side of things, but great to see them doing well here on the oval as we take a look at Ricky Harding, 21st provisionally, but on his second flying lap. And this is where, Dylan, you will try and run a slightly different line. Those tires will be a little bit slightly more worn, but you'll have burnt off a little bit more fuel. Let's see what the number 7 car can do.
Gotta say, I'm surprised with that entry into turn 3. He came from the middle of the backstretch down. That's not going to get the fastest time. It is going to move him up, though, in the grid to, I believe, 14th place. Yes, right now, which is pretty good. However, I think he could have shaved off a few more hundredths if he did run all the way up to the wall, kept that momentum going out of turn 2.
I think that's all she wrote for qualifying at this point in time. Still plenty of time left, 60 seconds, but I'm not seeing a single car out on track trying to set a lap time. So let's get some expectations here, Dylan. We were watching on in the practices and really, I guess a little bit gobsmacked at 3 and 4 wide action being the norm. It might be a race filled with cautions, but as we saw during the Indy 250, these drivers know how to go green for a long stretch of time. Let's hope we get green flag pit stops. It's always a fun proposition here on Lotus 79.
I mean, we saw that at Homestead Miami, the season opener in Season 5. It was green for long stretches of a time until, well, the last few dozen laps. It was a great race, hard racing, fair racing. We're hoping for the same here. However, this race, 113 laps, it's shown to be very caution-filled in years previously. In Seasons 2 and 4, 7 cautions. In Season 3, 8 cautions. So what do you say the over-under is?
I'm hoping for 0.
Oh, you naive man.
I just want to see these guys put on a show for us here. Qualifying has come to a close. Let's go trackside in the land of the rising sun to take a look at our starting grid here from Motegi. So here is your butt kicker starting grid. It will be Michael O'Brien to lead us to the green flag to his outside. Second on the grid, second in the championship. It's 1,000 separating O'Brien from Matt Taylor. David Sirois will line up inside of the series organizer George Anzaldo with Jean-Francois Matt and Chris Reagan sharing row number 3. 7th spot goes to Chris Fowler with Isaac Snyder in the pink and blue alongside Aaron Morgan, trying to rebound after a bit of a disappointing run, I think, for him from Sonoma International Raceway. He'll be alongside Alex Guyon, 3 of the Lavoie Motorsports cars in the top 10. Nick de Groot, the motorsports.com editor, will be in 11th alongside the teal number 34 of Trevor Malone, with 13th position going to Chris Lanini. Ricky Harding lines up to his outside. Caleb Benchy and Paul Jenkins on row 8 with the championship leader, Mike Razmas, mired back in the pack, almost a quarter of a second off the pace, with GSRC's own DJ Clark rounding out row number 9. Craig Forsyth and Jason Galvin, they share row number 10 with Cody Wenzen. Robert Mikes 21st and 22nd. First car not to set a qualifying lap time is Robert Mikes. Mike Rigney and Ariel Alanis 23rd and 24th, with Chris Staples, Richie Hearn and Gary Corley bringing up the tail end of our field here today. The cars begin to roll themselves off of pit road, and as always here in the Lionheart Racing Series, we have a number of onboard cameras to take a look at. So let's quickly jump on board and work our way through the guys in today's grid. First up, it's Jason Galvin. He's got the global electronic technology on board, the fastest name in credit card processing. Contact Jason Galvin today and find out how to save instantly on your business processing fees. Ricky Harding has the HyperX on board. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows we're all gamers, and HyperX is always ready to game. Michael O'Brien, your pole position sitter, has the Graphics Esports on board. World-class design from the real world to virtual. Visit graphicsesports.com. Not much time to go here, Dylan. I'm going to put you on the spot. Who do you think is going to come out on top? 113 laps about to get underway.
I already prepared for that question, Arjuna. It's going to be a bit of a surprise. Aaron Morgan, I think, is going to be the winner of this race. I'll tell you why. He finished second at Phoenix earlier this season. I feel like, especially in turns 3 and 4, there are some similarities with how little time you want to spend on the brakes, and Morgan altogether is a fast driver. I think he's going to pull it off.
And I think a driver who wants to try and pick himself forward in the championship standings. This is Lionheart, competition, commitment, excitement, and we are ready to go racing in the Global Electronic Technology 175, presented by Minus 273. No change for your race lead, but you saw just how racy this is going to be. They fan themselves out 4 wide in the background, side by side for the race lead. It's O'Brien down on the inside, Matt Taylor trying to rip the high line. And look at this, Chris Reagan with a rocket of a start. He's already up 2 positions as we complete lap number 1.
I can't lie, man. This is going to be heart in your mouth, foot in your mouth, whatever you want to call it. The driving is going to have to be spectacular. They're already going 3 wide in this dirty, air-heavy corner, turns 1 and 2. And, wow, just this is amazing. They're going 3 wide right down here, maybe 4 into turns 3 and 4.
They were almost 3 wide, 2 deep. Incredible. Reagan trying to get to the inside. Nothing doing there. Fowler is up 3 positions. 3 wide across the start-finish line once more. Incredible start to this race, but O'Brien continues to lead. He paints the white line through turns 1 and 2. Meanwhile, back in the pack, it's been a bit of a difficult start for George Anzaldo. 3 positions dropped, as I see Gary Corley has come down onto pit road. I wonder if there was some sort of start infringement, but look at this, Dylan. These guys are putting on a show once more.
Incredible driving right here. Look at this. This is just amazing. I mean, we're going to be seeing this all night here in the morning hours at Twin Ring Motegi. That's something that we don't typically see. It is technically the morning here, 7:10 a.m.
On board with Chris Fowler. Barney has a great view of all of this action. I would love to be where he is. Jean-Francois Matt up into 3rd. This is very, very racy.
Snyder!
Oh,
no way.
Almost contact. Snyder is going to go down the middle. They're 5 wide for a second. There's contact. Snyder's up into O'Brien. The caution is going to fly, and your pole position sitter has been dropped to the tail end of the field.
No caution. No one spun, so they keep going. Gotta say, that was really brash, really early from Isaac Snyder there.
Well, there's the spin. I think O'Brien has too much damage to his car. He's stationary now on the start-finish stripe. Has reset himself down to pit lane. An unfortunate start then for O'Brien, who continues to try and work his way up the championship order. What's happened to Snyder, though? Because I'm seeing him dropping down very slightly. I wonder if there's more damage to Snyder's machine.
Trying to take a look through our various camera angles. It looks like the front wing is fine. I don't see too much damage. It might just be...
Dylan,
well,
sorry.
What are you seeing?
There is danger. O'Brien is still on the racetrack, and now he's gone.
Oh!
Has to get out of the way just in time. You can see just how badly that car is damaged. But now for the race lead, here comes Jean-Francois Matt trying to look for his first victory. Chris Fowler side by side. Incredible start to this race. The top three all started outside of row number 3.
Once this calms down, we need a replay of that because that was almost a replay of Kevin LePage in the old Nationwide Series.
I have a feeling it's not going to calm down, so we'll queue up the replay and get to it when we can. De Groot's now up into 3rd place. This is going to be a race of track position at some point in time because the longer we go, Dylan, we've seen tires not being taken by these cars. The car becomes a rocket ship on low fuel. It really is going to be important to time your pit stop so you feed yourself back into the right place on track.
Projected fuel window is lap 44, lap 45, somewhere around there, and then the second pit stop, lap 88 to 90. So they can go around 44, 45 laps on a full tank of fuel, meaning that they can afford to take less fuel if it goes green, which it will not the entire way, for that final run.
Good vibes, Dylan. Come on, let's have some good vibes.
Listen, it's not. Look at what just happened. Look at what almost just happened.
Oh, it's almost happening back in the pack once more. I think that's Anzaldo just being covered off by Mike Razmas, who has been working his way steadily into the top 10. There's so much action going on right now, Dylan. I don't even know where to look at this point in time. Out front in the mid-pack, there are so many storylines to be considering here as they go 3 wide once more.
Yeah, but out in front, Jean-Francois Matt, he is on the outside of Chris Fowler right now. If he is able to keep it on the outside, he's going to have to worry about Chris Reagan with a burst of speed going around the outside down the backstretch.
Watch for De Groot as well. You can see De Groot's now just tucked down to the inside, just trying to find a place to go. And this, I think, is now a race of survival for some of these guys, just working their way through the first 10 laps to see where things will get them. I tell you what, as we come across the start-finish line, Fowler is going very, very defensive because Matt is forcing him all the way to that white line. De Groot's now going to get a nice run, and Reagan might get checked up here.
In a situation like this, I almost prefer to be the driver on the outside so I can try and pin the driver on the inside down to the white line as far as you can push him. Because then, I mean, there's really no room to let the tire slide. You have to let the car oh yeah, he got really wide in there, but it's going to keep him in front only for the time being. 3 cars in a line. Look at this draft fest, Arjuna.
I think Schneider almost got involved in a second incident just there. Not sure that was necessarily his fault, but there was a car just washing up the track, and I don't think Schneider had too much that he could do with the damage he sustained. I tell you what, I think it's calming down. As I say that, of course, something is going to happen out there on track. Let's see if we can take a look at what happened to O'Brien here. We're seeing the damaged car. We'll have to spool it back slightly further, and here you'll see just out on the outside line, nowhere that he could go. We'll have to take another look at what happened between Fowler and Schneider.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate here. I mean, great move, aggressive, but great move to try and force it here. But he comes down inside, gets the 2 left side tires down to the driver on the inside, and then pushes out O'Brien on the outside. And here's this other replay. Is this the same replay?
This is all of that one and only incident. You saw the onboard as Snyder split the difference and went down the middle. The pink and blue gets very wobbly there. I don't know if there's front wing damage. I'd be more concerned about side pod damage at this point in time.
Yeah, but look where he is now. Isaac Snyder has made his way back up to 5th.
Incredible stuff, and still green. I mean, I'm glad that I was wrong when I called the caution because, well, we didn't need it, I guess, at that point in time. You can see just how racy it's been out front. Almost 3 cars in the top 10 up double-digit positions, and I don't think the timing tower knows how to keep up with all of this action right now, Dylan.
I don't think you and I know how to keep up with all of this action right now. It's pretty intense.
We're trying our best, that is for sure. Such a fun track, and I tell you what, it's a shame that it doesn't get that much use. Almost 3.
More love.
It needs a little bit more love. Of course, there is a little bit of damage to the track after the years of misuse. On the outside, De Groot, what can he do? Schneider is back into the top 4. They're 4 wide once more. Watch for Reagan, who's going to get blocked off by Nick De Groot. This is a little bit concerning when you see these cars going that aggressive. Matt in the middle is going to try and feed himself into the race lead, but De Groot might have it here. De Groot to the lead.
Well, I'm tempted to say I am DeGroot. I just did. Just a great move right there by Nick DeGroot, but he's going to be back on the outside and is going to have to get back in the draft. I think because of the wide apex he took, he's going to have a lot of speed here, but look at Isaac Snyder. He is not one to play conservative. Just be careful. They're going 5 wide. Oh, no!
Oh, and there's 2 separate incidents. Reagan got together, I believe that was with Chris Fowler, and now Nick DeGroot on that outside line finds himself in the catch fencing, and the caution does indeed fly. We'll have to go and take a look straight away at what happened there, but 5 wide, Dylan, we were scared that it would happen, and, well, the inevitable, I guess, did.
Oh, man. I mean, it was going 5 wide. This is going to take a lot of drivers out of this race. Oh. What can you do there?
DeGroot just went flying over Schneider for a second there. That's bizarre. I almost wonder if some sort of, we don't like to use the word netcode, but I'm going to use it here, Dylan. It might have been a little bit of netcode.
Let's see it. So, comes down, flies. Okay, so obviously he gets into the wall on the right side.
We'll go
this replay.
We'll go super slow-mo again, because I think that's the only way we're going to figure out what happens here.
Absolutely. So, we're trying to figure it out, but they're going 5 wide, and I mean drivers are pushing right behind. Can't quite tell who each driver is with just the craziness that happens right here, but when that happens, when that front left inside gets there, it pushes everybody up the track, and wow, oh man, you just can't. There's so much happening.
Well,
there's so much happening.
I tell you what, I'm going to not just go super slow-mo. I might break out that yellow pen tool, and right here, you can see the distance between Nick DeGroot and Jean-Francois Matt. I think Matt is in the race lead, and he'll be very fortunate if he doesn't have some sort of right rear suspension damage, but Fowler is already pointing in the wrong direction. He slides up the track and I think causes a bit of a checkup. Let's go back to the super slow-mo. Reagan around with Harding. There goes DeGroot going almost onto his lid. Schneider goes for the ride of his lifetime. The second Lavoie Motorsports car, I believe that's Alex Gouillon getting mixed up. Oh, my word. Paul Jenkins as well. That's a huge incident. And, well, I think on lap 17, we may already have about 10 retirements here.
I counted at least 8 drivers involved in that. Wow. What can you say? It's just too aggressive, too early. And we knew things like that were going to happen. We just didn't think it would be right then and there. You know, you can't fault Snyder necessarily for making it 5 wide, but at the same time, it's a question of why are we even going 4 wide at this current moment?
Well, we don't like to assign blame necessarily here, Dylan, but what we do want to do is just give our opinion and kind of take one more look at this and jump back a couple more seconds so we can see from that aerial look once more what happens, slow it down. Schneider's already 5 wide. If anything, I would partially say that Ricky Harding is the one who's really sending it, and he initiates the contact with Jean-Francois Matt that sends him up the track in towards DeGroot's path, and well, I think, not even sure who that is that loses their front nose cone as Snyder takes a big hit into the wall. It's risky. That's what we can say for sure.
Right, and you know, I'm saying there, when we're going already 3 wide, why are we forcing it to go 4 wide, 5 wide? Those extra drivers trying to come in and take some extra spots at this point of the race. I don't think it's the best idea for their race if something like what just happened. Pushing it 5 wide was obviously the straw that broke the camel's back. And yeah, it's unfortunately that happens. It takes out a whole bunch of fast drivers. I think we're going to see a drastically different race from here on out. The top 18 drivers, actually, you know what? I think it's the top 17 are on the lead lap. Everybody else is at least a lap down. And by the way, Michael O'Brien said in our YouTube chat that he feels like he's an idiot because they thought they were under caution when his car was out on track. So, that was scary.
So that does explain a lot, because I was a little bit confused. O'Brien is a very, very clean driver from what we've seen in the past, and It's a bit uncharacteristic to see him being that risky when it came to how close things got as the field threw themselves down into turn number 1. Do you think the lights are off on the pace car? The top 7 have not come down onto pit road, so that's Jean-Francois Matt, Caleb Benshi, Robert Mikes, who is up 19 positions, George Anzaldo, David Sirois, Cody Wenzen, and Ariel Alanis, those top 7 cars. Mike Rigney has managed to roll himself back out onto track after getting a number of coming down, I think, a number of times onto pit road. So 18 cars. We started with 27, Dylan. Alex Gouillon, the only car to have rolled himself out of that incident and back out onto track, albeit 2 laps down.
Yeah, and with being 2 laps down right here, you know, it's going to be really hard to get those laps back. Obviously, there's no free pass in the Lionheart Retro IndyCar Series, but there is the wave around. It's just going to be hard to get all the drivers on the lead lap go into the pits all at once, especially with the track that will have varying strategies as this one. So hopefully for Gouillon, he's able to pick up some spots, but that would mean retirements and other issues will come in the race for drivers ahead of him.
Green flag back in the hand of Barney, the flagman. Field is in control of Lavoie Motorsports. Jean-Francois Matt, that is a very long hold. It's a stack up that George Anzaldo is trying to take full advantage of, and around the outside, Anzaldo's up into second. Meanwhile, further back, almost 3 wide as your championship leader tries to make some headway, trying to close up the gap to the cars in front and try and take victory here today. Matt Taylor, his main championship rival, is down in 14th position after coming down onto pit road. And once again, almost 20 laps in the books. We are going to get racy. And the interesting thing here, Dylan, as well, we're only about 20 or 25 laps away from pit stops being a reality for the cars out front.
Yeah, and I think that they're betting on this race not going to the point where in these 20 laps ahead that they're all going to be green. I think they're betting on there's going to be more incidents, but with fewer drivers out on track, I don't think we're going to see as much of that craziness that we were seeing early on. I think we'll see some drivers daringly going for some moves, but we're already seeing drivers, namely Mike Rigney, way down on power, and right in front of him is Alex Gouillon. I mean, they're so down on power, they're not even part of this race, really.
Trying to take, oh, wow. Rigney's car still has significant damage. I think that's the best way to put it. Gouillon's car doesn't look much better, so I think we might be looking at 17 cars fighting for victory here today. Question I have for you, Dylan, is who's that trying to pull to the inside line? That's Razmas, who's trying to get to the inside of the number 53 of Craig Forsyth. I don't believe the automated iRacing spotter has a command for 4 wide, let alone 5 wide. So it would have been difficult for those cars to have been, you know, exactly sure of how many cars abreast they were.
I still can't believe we saw 5 wide. That was just incredibly exciting for the couple seconds before things went all not good.
Are we going to go 5 wide again down on the inside? David Sirois thought about it but had to back out. His teammate is fighting side by side for the race lead as Caleb Benshi is in 3rd alongside Robert Mike. Some very big movers and shakers really taking advantage of all of the chaos and carnage that we've seen as they're fanning out as well, just trying to find some track position. You can see they're fairly content to run fairly low on the entry into turn 1, which of course is the thing you want to do, Dylan. Minimize the distance that you travel.
Right, and I mean, that's pretty much the whole goal of braking, too. I mean, you don't want to be able to... Oh, they're going 4 wide. Oh, no. Calamity. Calamity again. 3 cars collected in it. Make it 4 huge flips, and make it 5, make it almost 6.
Richie Hearn threads the needle to, I think, get away with that one. And your pick, Aaron Morgan, I think... we're going to have to blame you for that one. Commentators curse very clearly. Oh,
okay, when half the drivers are out already 25 laps in, I think we can go a little more than just commentators curse.
True. Oh, who's that? I think that's Sirois who sends it to the inside. Hard to see from the very aerial angle that we had, but he wasn't involved in the actual contact that we saw. That is another vicious incident. Richie Hearn.
Ends up great for him.
Richie Hearn actually tags the back of Morgan, who I think had done a decent job to avoid that chaos. One more look as we try and pick apart these cars that got involved here.
Well, I think that there was a little bit of getting loose there, and then both cars on the inside obviously come together. The reaction from the car, third in lane, sends him. That's. Can we just watch this and just marvel at its brilliance?
That's Chris Staples. It's still going, somehow gaining some more kinetic energy from bouncing off of the rear wing. Impressive vertical there that I think an NBA player would be quite proud of. Let's take one more look at just his incidents before we ride on board with Richie Hearn and take a look at it from his vantage point.
I gotta say, like, at this point, if this was an actual race, in terms of real life racing, I would say we're stopping the race right now. We need to have a meeting about how we're racing here, because it's just way too much, way too early.
I would tend to agree. I think now, we've seen Chris Staples go end over end. Let's try and jump on board with Richie Hearn from his vantage point and see what he was seeing, because it was just chaos and carnage in front. Of course, a former real-world competitor in American open wheel racing, and just unfortunate that I think he's trying to speed up to avoid that car down on the inside, and Morgan really just nowhere to go, and heartbreak then. And I'm going to blame you still, Dylan, because Lorenzo, your good friend, had a nightmare when it came to commentators' curses this past weekend. He couldn't talk about a driver and praise them without causing some sort of an incident for them.
Well, you know what? Usually it's you doing all of that, so you've pushed it off to both myself and Lorenzo, which I guess is okay, for the amount of times we let you down, man.
No, it's true. I have a pretty bad track record when it comes to these commentators' curses. So I'm just glad it's not my fault anymore. I can blame other people. Well, I'm not sure if you're paying attention to the series Discord, Dylan, but, well, what can I say other than it is a very busy place where I think a lot of drivers...
I gotta check it out.
I think you should, because, well, a lot of drivers just expressing their frustration, including Aaron Morgan, and I think Morgan as well is not necessarily too upset with Richie Hearn. I think more just frustrated with the cars in front, making it 4 and 5 wide. As for the second time today, the caution is out, and, well, we slow things down here.
I love Chris Fowler saying just this. That was, and then in all caps, stupid.
I think that sums up some of the chat I'm seeing in our YouTube chat as well. A reminder, you can always interact with us, because both Dylan and myself are paying attention, and we are always ready to respond to some of your questions. Halfway through the season, and, well, out of the 27 cars that started, Dylan, 13 cars left on the leading lap here.
I mean, this is this is really bad, you usually don't like to just call it out like that, but this is really bad. We are 27 laps in. We've had 2 major incidents. We are just over. Actually, we're not even at the quarter mark yet, and we're more than half of the field is gone. That's bad.
I would speculate we're not going to see too many of those cars. Alex Guyon, of course, is still circulating with the very damaged car that we saw for the 08, but I would speculate that we're not going to see any of those cars that just got involved in that most recent caution and had to get themselves back onto pit road, the likes of Craig Forsyth, Mike Rigney, etc. Chris Staples as well, the 96 car going end over end. I would not be surprised if they don't roll themselves back out onto track here.
I mean, hey, there's a lot of positions that are able to be gained now because there's a ton of drivers that have exited the race. At this point, you can still get a very fair share, a fair haul of points, even if you're 21 laps down like Michael O'Brien is, if you just wait for that car to be repaired.
Forget Michael O'Brien. Let's talk about the championship picture right here. Matt Taylor, that car looks pretty clean. I believe Mike Rasmussen did have to come down onto pit road. I'm not seeing any lengthy repairs being taken for the 68 car, but in terms of your championship leaders here, well, they may be very, very fortunate with how the first couple of cautions have gone here, Dylan. They're still in contention. It's a long way to go, but there are very solid points on offer.
Yeah, there's a lot of points left here, and thankfully for us, those 2 championship leaders are still right there with Mike Rasmussen and Matt Taylor. Having Rasmussen and Taylor still in the race here with a lot of points on the line, it breathes a little bit of extra spice into this race.
Lights are off on the pace car, so caution number 2 is about to come to an end. The field has been decimated. 27 cars. We have only 14 out there and running. It is Cody Wenzen up 20 positions at the front. The green flag is back out here in Twin Ring Motegi. Not such a chaotic start. We saw George Ansaldo really getting a rocket launch and work his way up into that fight for the race lead. They string themselves out single file, at least for now. I would suspect, Dylan, that these cars are going to be a little bit more cautious, knowing that if they get to the end, they may be in with a chance of victory.
I'm still going to hold my breath. I wonder if this is going to be like a podcast episode now where it's just a lot of single file driving, or we're still going to see some craziness. I mean, look at that. It's not every day that you look to your left and you see the scoring table and see pit on the drivers that are always showing.
It's either pit or it's out for so many of these strong competitors, as Taylor now to the inside fighting with Razmas. Of course, that's the battle for the championship as they go 3 wide at the front of your field. They're not getting the message, at least for now. Cody Wenzen, Robert Mikes, and Trevor Malone 1, 2, and 3. David Sirois and Caleb Benshi fighting it out for that 5th position. You can, what can you say? The static shot that we have, Dylan, really illustrates the amount of cars still out there on the track, and I'm trying to knock on all the wood around me so that I'm not the next commentator putting down these curses, but I really do think if we get a nice little run here going, we may start to see some separation.
Maybe. I'm not confident in that. I think we're going to see less than 10 cars finish this race.
Wow, okay. So how many more cautions do you think we're going to see?
See, now that's the interesting thing. Because there's fewer drivers, there's just not as many opportunities to have cautions, especially if they start to take each other out. If you have 10 drivers, there should be no cautions. I mean, if you have 13 on the lead lap, there should be no more cautions, maybe until they really get racing hard at the end of the race. There should be nothing else, but they're still going 3 wide here.
Malone,
I don't know if that's smart.
I don't know, but Ansaldo almost runs into Malone, who I think got a little bit loose going into the entry of the corner up on the outside line. Benshi is up into 3rd position, chasing down those cars for the race lead. Wonderful aerial look as Ansaldo has DJ Clark with a brand new livery. You can take a look at the car that has switched car numbers if you've been following along with the first half of the season. DJ Clark, who took a podium in that season opener from the Homestead Miami Speedway, now representing that number 4 as Robert Mikes, Cody Wenzen side by side for the race lead. It's been an interesting season to say the very least, Dylan, but it's now an even more interesting second half of the campaign. 5 consecutive speedways to kick off the second half of the season, and we won't return to the ovals for 4 more races, 4 very different road courses before we head to that final Triple Crown. It is a tough competition here. You have to be strong on the speedways, you have to be strong on the road courses.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much the whole goal of IndyCar racing as a whole. There's, especially with how the schedule used to be a very clean split, a trio of road courses, permanent road courses, street courses, and ovals. And it's really a battle of who can go in all those disciplines and be the best overall of all of the drivers. We're about to see some more oh, don't do it. They're going 4 wide here.
It's about as close to 4 wide as... Oh, no, now it is well and truly 4 wide. There's almost contact. I think that was Robert Mikes who just washed down. Now he's going to lose a number of positions. Wenzen holds on to the race lead as Ansaldo around the outside of Benshi. Very, very chaotic stuff. The final road course run that we have, Silverstone, Long Beach, and Road America. Long Beach, of course, being somewhat of the exception. There is down the inside Ansaldo to the race lead.
Well, if Ansaldo can have this, you know what? He might not be the happiest with how the drivers in the league he runs raced, but he'll be happy with the win.
Now let me go and look at the record books, because the wonderful thing about commentating here in Lionheart, Dylan, is that we've got so many stats here. Ansaldo, 70 different starts, only 2 top 5s. That is a pretty interesting run. His best finish is a 3rd at the Homestead Miami Speedway back in Season 3. Best finish this season is a 6th position result from Phoenix. So this really is a possible win for Ansaldo. Might not be happy with the driving like you said at the start, but he'll be thrilled with the race victory.
Let's not do anything, though. Let's not say anything more.
Yes, let me knock on the wood.
Do you actually have a real piece of wood next to you, or are you just saying that metaphorically?
I have my table, but I think at this point I really do need to invest in a solid block of mahogany.
Maybe you actually just need to pull out your inner lumberjack and just chop down some wood from a tree real quick.
Might not be the worst idea. That's 3 wide.
Oh.
That is close. Can they make it work? It was Wenzen who split the difference between Anzaldo and Mike. Somehow they stay clean. We're only on lap number 38. We're going to come to an end here. Continues to just exhilarate here from Twin Ring Motegi. Coming down into turn number 1, the speed's almost touching 300 kilometers an hour.
I feel so bad for Alex Guyon right now.
Oh, let's go take a look at how damaged his race car is. Oh, very.
He's going, as we cross the finish line here, 158 miles per hour. Let's go and see. Oh, there's going to be lap traffic with him very soon, by the way. As these drivers cross the finish line, they're going 173 miles per hour. That's quite a difference.
I'm, of course, using those socialist units that me and David...
Yeah. I'm sorry.
No. Let's be honest. We should probably be using the American units, but me and David Haynes are having some fun there. There's the track map, bottom right-hand portion of your screen. I don't think we're too long away from the lap traffic being a reality as 3 wide into the corner, and Zaldo a little bit loose. Benji is the one that has to stack himself up. Will open the door for David Sirwa to slip it down the inside. They just about managed to hold on there, but it is getting interesting. Of course, other than Cody Wenzen, Dylan, none of these cars have to come down pit road shortly. Wenzen has not pitted so far today.
Yeah, so with these 2 long yellows, I mean, we're going to see what? Maybe it goes to lap 52 where they start pitting? And how many drivers are still in the race that have not pitted yet?
No, everyone's come down at least once. Left side of the screen, you can see the stint length. So Wenzen touching lap 41. It will become 42 this time across the stripe. Oh, that is interesting. I'm going to use that word for it. You know, the one thing I'm hoping for, Dylan, is that even if Anzaldo doesn't get that win, he gets a podium so we can talk to him about just how racy this one is, because he is right in the thick of it.
Don't make me break out the TikTok song.
Oh, no, now you just got it stuck in my head for the remaining...
In the thick of it.
Oh, no. Well, we better be... we better be careful, because we might get people turning off. Well, it's not sing-song time, Dylan. That was the 6 hours against...
Are you sure?
No. That was this part. That was yesterday as VCO and racespottv
Yeah, tell everybody a little bit about that.
Yeah, that was awesome. Let's get to that in a sec, though, because here we go. 3 wide for the race lead. Wenzen down the middle with Anzaldo on the outside. Sirwa is just lurking menacingly. The Frenchman is being very, very patient. Wenzen will hold on to the race lead. So, like Dylan says, just yesterday, VCO Esports and racespottv came together to race against the flood. Of course, horrific scenes in the Eiffel Mountains and people just really needing some support. So, shout out to the Mahler Racing team, to Florian Hasper from VCO Esports to put this thing together in just a matter of days. 6 hours of racing. We saw some incredible entertainment. Let's call it that. I wouldn't call it racing. I would call it entertainment instead. 8,000 euros raised in just 6 hours' time, Dylan.
Yeah, that's amazing. And I was so happy to see everything come together, especially from the back end as well. It's hard to get so many people from so many different parts of the world together to make an event like that a success, and everyone came together. Kudos to VCO, to RaceSpot, to Mahler Racing Team, to everyone who participated. Pretty awesome.
And of course, the best thing about that race was you could donate for anything. The team of Ewan O'Leary, Stefan Schlacker, and Lorenzo Bonder, in conjunction with Radio Show Limited as well. We had John Heindorf and Peter Mackay stepping into the comms booth. It was a lot of fun. I donated, I think it was 50 euros, and I got turn 7 at the Nürburgring named the Kunky Curve.
No.
Yes, I did. We had some very interesting names. Turn 1 became the Maladrome. The track itself got renamed the 4/5 George Simmons Ring. There was a donation. 300 euros got you a safety car. I believe it was Impulse Racing, who were one of the GT4 competitors, donated to get everyone to do a donut in through turn number 1. And if Race Control Race Control was monitoring Dylan, and they saw the Red Bull Racing... No, it wasn't Red Bull Racing Team, excuse me. It was the BS Turner car, of course. BS Plus Competition and Turner Motorsports, that combined entry. They didn't do a donut because they didn't know how to turn off the traction control. They had a penalty. It was to drive around the track in reverse. Unfortunately, the engine blew about halfway around.
That is a shame. That's a big penalty. Wow. Okay, so we've got to do that more often, where we're taking donations for a good cause to rename corners. I'm all about that.
Oh, yes, no, I'm all about it. I think we renamed about 75% of the track. Here comes 3 wide once more. Oh, this is still getting racy. It's almost lap 50. I wonder when Cody Wenzen is going to have to come down onto pit road. He is down on the inside, and I'm sure he would indicate to the rest of the drivers so they would get out of his way, because not necessarily the easiest entry into pit road here, especially because you'll be coming down from that banking, getting on the brakes in what is a very difficult car to control.
It's always making me so nervous how close they come together, how close that pinching is down in corners 1 and 2, because although it's not a high-banked corner, when you do have your front tires, your left tires, I was saying more your front left tire, just touch the apron, because you see it happen, you have to jerk the steering wheel back, and that can lead to a big unbalance across the car's suspension, can lead to more calamity. You know, just watch the pinching that happens into turn 1 and 2 on George Anzaldo by Robert Mikes. And Cody Wenzen is getting pushed down too.
There you take a good look at the 67. That is Wenzen, who I'm really just anticipating that stop imminently at this point in time as we work lap number 50. The numbers that we were told, Dylan, is anywhere from 44 to 45 laps, so he can't be too far away from needing to dive down.
Yeah, I don't think it's very far away, but you do have to wonder when he exits this battle. And, I mean, he's going to have to do something to notify them that he's coming down, because while he is the car in front of the entire field, everyone might take a little bit of an evasive action.
Let's talk about strategy then here, Dylan, because Wenzen, if we get a couple of cautions, could make it with this one and only stop, but I would postulate that is very unlikely, like you were saying before. So highly likely he's looking at a 2-stopper from here. The rest of the field, though, they are potentially only looking at a 1-stopper from here to the end. And Wenzen is going to be in the unfortunate position of not having this draft, not having the help from other cars around. He's going to be much slower and therefore also losing time out on track.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I do wonder what the situation... Oh, wow. That, you know, we just watched that angle of them all coming down to the camera, which was situated right around... Oh, that's a beautiful shot. Right around turn 3, and it always looks like they're just all together. They're all spaced out. All of them taking different lines into the corner. This race, you wish that there were just more drivers who were able to keep it clean, because this track deserves some great racing.
It really does. Twin Ring Motegi, I mean...
Wenzen's in. Wenzen's going in.
Oh, there's a signal. Here he comes. Your race leader is slowing down early. Of course, this is what we expected. Up the track runs the Lavoie Motorsports car. And take a look at this entry. It's all about hitting your marks. Those yellow cones are rather early on the pit road, and Wenzen is down and by himself. We will have to wait and see exactly where he feeds out. Meanwhile, it promotes Robert Mikes. Oh, yellow flag! I tell you what, Cody Wenzen has potentially just been saved by a rather opportunistic caution, and I believe it was DJ Clark, the car that went around Dylan.
Yeah, he said something about his wheel.
Oh, no.
Just giving out. He just turned to the right.
I'm
not... Jason Galvin just asked if there is a diaper he can borrow.
I think he might need a little bit more than a diaper, to be completely honest. Let's take a look at the onboard here, of course, with Jason. Heart and mouth moment for us up here in the comms booth. I can't even imagine what that was like down in the 42 machine.
You know, he needs a diaper.
One more look here, and well, for Clark, you can see up the track he goes. Galvin doesn't even get an opportunity to lift. By the time he's lifted, Clark's already clear on his left-hand side, and, well, caution flag is out, and Cody Wenzen has indeed not being saved, rather, Dylan. He's one lap down. He finds himself in a rather precarious position.
Yeah, that is an extremely precarious position for Cody Wenzen, or excuse me, DJ Clark. I was looking at Cody Wenzen and his situation. I mean, I feel like that came out at a very good time for him.
Well, if everyone else comes down onto pit road,
Right.
Wenzel will cycle himself around, but he will be at the tail end of the field. That being said...
Tail end of, yeah, what field?
Exactly. There's now going to be only 13 cars if Clark can't get the car back out and circulating. It's going to be a busy, busy pit road. Alex Guyon has come down to try and get some of that car repaired. And I tell you what, that is what Lionheart is about here, Dylan. We said competition, commitment, excitement. That's the commitment. A damaged race car, nurse it for whatever points you can get. Guyon might still be looking at a top 10 finish here.
Could you imagine? With the car that he has, that would be just incredible. By the way, so DJ Clark is definitely out of the race by now. Well, at least that's what it seems like through the Discord chat.
Oh, well,
Yes.
you postulated technical failure. It wasn't technical. The wheel literally got disconnected from the desk.
So, I mean, a hardware failure on... what? How does that happen?
It's hardware. It's not the hardware that you necessarily would think of when it comes to virtual online racing.
Oh my goodness. Maybe he should invest in a nice piece of mahogany as well.
Oh, God. Well, I tell you what, almost halfway through the action here, the caution is out for the third time today, and fortunately, it's a single car incident this time around.
I still think we're going to see some more drivers leaving the race. DJ Clark has disconnected, so Guyon, Jean-Francois, Matt, who else is still not on the lead lap but in this race? Michael O'Brien is still in the pit, so I wonder if he's just taking in the race from his gorgeous view of pit lane. Gary Corley didn't even start the race, I don't think. Or did he start the race? Yeah, he did.
He did, but he came down onto pit road very early, and I had maybe questioned as to whether he had maybe got a start penalty for jumping and a little bit too early. Wenzen will make his way around the next time around to rejoin at that tail end of the field. Sits in 12th position, just outside the top 10. My suspicion is Michael O'Brien is helping his Avatar Auto Racing teammate Matt Taylor in the championship fight. And in the championship fight, Dylan, we are... What? This is where I hate the fact that I have to do mental math because it's always a difficult proposition. But hypothetically, I think we are just within the fuel window.
The fuel window to
make it to the end without an additional trip. Oh, no, never mind. Like I said, I can't do math.
We would be there in another 10 laps, possibly.
We would. So this does explain as to why Mike Rasmas, the championship leader, has stayed out there on track. He will be at the front when we get back to the action.
I loved your attempt, though.
I've got to try. I mean, I've got to try.
You know, I miss doing these races with you, my friend.
It's been a while since you and I have shared the comms booth. Oh, interesting call from Rasmas down onto pit road when we know that he can't necessarily make it to the end. Oh, he's followed in by Caleb Benchy, Jason Galvin, and a whole host of other cars. So maybe just a little bit of strategy, get some extra fuel in there and make it a splash and dash at the end of this race.
Maybe not even a splash and dash if there are a few more cautions. They could theoretically go the end of the race, but why does it even matter anymore? If you've got the tires, if you've got, if you're like, hey, I'd like some fuel, why not just get more tires, get fuel? Because...
Well, remember, Dylan, we don't usually see tires being taken at all because of just how much time it takes, so I really do...
Who cares now?
Yeah, well, as Aaron Morgan points out, there's no reason not to pit every caution because it's a pack race with just 10 cars.
Right, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
okay, I misunderstood.
The penalty for getting tires, it's nothing. I mean, especially with the draft here. You can go from 10th to 1st in a matter of one lap.
Sorry, I just saw Alex Guyon's car.
Thank you for using it. Oh man, this is glorious. I love when the yellow pen. It's the yellow pen's glorious purpose to be on this Race Spot broadcast.
Oh, look at this.
You know, sometimes carbon fiber is just is bendy, and looks like that.
That is an expensive Lotus 79 that needs fixing. Barney has that green flag back in his hand. It's a bit of a stack up once more, but Anzaldo will get us back underway as the green flag is back out in the Global Electronic Technology 175 presented by Minus 273. Once more we will go single file, at least for now. But we're waiting for the inevitable. We are waiting for 2, 3, and 4 wide action to resume as here we go, side by side, David Siroff for the race lead.
As we see this battle commence in 2-3, Anzaldo is able to keep it, but he might not have the speed coming out of the corner. He took pretty much the optimum line, but he's going to lack the momentum. Right here, we're going to see David Sirod just get that speed, go around the outside, but he's leaving a lot of space between he and Anzaldo. I don't think that's the way you want to do it here if you were trying to make a run around the outside. Pinch him down.
That's what he was trying to do, yeah. Well, I tell you what, Dylan, at this point in time, just get it to the end. I mean, regardless of where you finish, a top 10 nets you a whole heap of points. That there are so many strong drivers out. Chris Fowler, Nick DeGroot, 23rd and 24th. Those are the big names that stand out in my mind. Aaron Morgan, 16th position. Just get it to the end and see where you end up as we leave Japan here.
So, 12 drivers on the lead lap, 13 on track. That's amazing. I don't even have any analysis there. That's just, 3 wide.
I didn't even know what to say when you were saying that because I'm just like, amazing good or amazing bad. Let's talk a bit about the conditions here, and it might not necessarily have avoided some of the incidents that we've seen. It's 29 degrees Celsius in the air with 34 degrees Celsius track temperature, given that we are racing in the very early morning here in Twin Ring Motegi. But look at that gusts of wind here, Dylan, 23 kilometers an hour.
Yeah, that's it's pretty windy, which is obviously going to affect these cars when they're going around sections of the track, aka 1 and 2, that have a very strong dependence on aero. So that's where that airflow, that wind is really going to come into play. And obviously, if we want to go with the Freedom units, as a ridiculously cocky American would say, it's 14 miles per hour.
Are we going to see a first-time winner here in the Lionheart Retro Series, Dylan? Because David Sirot, of course, a rookie in 2021. He's in first. Malone on the outside is in 4th position. He's never taken a victory. His best finish in this competition is a 4th place. Ariel Alanis, another rookie. There is a whole heap of drivers here that might be staring down their first trip to HyperX Victory Lane.
I'm just saying, who has kept their nose clean, stayed in the field, started second to last, and is currently in 10th place. Richie Hearn.
The thing about Richie, though, is that you always have to just wonder how racy he's going to be. Of course, those who have been paying attention and watching on with the Lionheart Racing Series across of 2021 on racespottv and in years prior will know. There we go. There's the blinking that I was referring to.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, well, it's not an uh-oh so much as everyone knows that's a reality of Richie Hearn's internet connection. He usually gives drivers plenty of space. He is waiting for Starlink to become available to him because he is very much hoping that will make it easier for him to run side by side with the rest of his competitors.
So I'm going to do a little math check here. So in terms of drivers and the amount of wins they've had, to see how important that a win could potentially be for their Lionheart career. And we'll start with, obviously, Matt Taylor. 18 races, obviously, in that championship battle. He's got 1 win so far. I mean, this would be huge for him just in the championship, but also for that confidence going forward. I mean, there's no question that this is anybody's race right now.
It's anyone's championship. I mean, Sage Karam is... I was calling it Sage Karam domination at one point, Dylan. We thought that he may set a record with consecutive victories, 3 to start off the season. Unfortunately missed out at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Not the race win, but missed the race entirely itself. So you never know. With someone like Karam, he's obviously suspended for this race. He may return refreshed and rejuvenated next time around and really set the tone once more. So for Rasmus and for Taylor, they have to know that the points they get here today will be crucial come the end of 2021.
You know, Chris Lanini, he's got a win in the books. Jason Galvin has 4 wins, so I mean that's a pretty high regard of the drivers that are still left in this field. Obviously, Mike Rasmussen, another championship contender. He's got 2 wins in his 21 race career. So there's a lot of drivers that have either no wins or very few wins right here. I mean, isn't it? I think that right there, Galvin's 4 wins is the most out of any of the drivers left.
I'm trying to just check. Are there only 2 drivers in this field with previous, or I should say 3 drivers including Rasmussen, 3 drivers with previous victories in the 12 cars that are still out there and circulating on the lead lap?
Well, Matt Taylor has a win.
Galvin has a win, and Rasmussen has a win.
Lanini has a win.
Oh, okay, I missed that.
1 win in 55 races.
That came back at Iowa in Season 3, so he knows how to win here on the ovals.
Robert Mikes has 2 wins in 54 races.
The last of those, have to just quickly check here on the stat sheet that's very kindly provided to us by the series organizers. It doesn't actually say if the last win of his came in Season 1, that means both of his victories came back in Season 1. The last one at Milwaukee, so success there in Season 1 and has not competed full-time since then. So I think that explains the lack of consistent results that we've seen from him.
So Mikes, Rasmus, Galvin, Lanini, Taylor. Those are the drivers with wins of the 12 remaining on the lead lap.
So there's what you're saying is there's like a 75% chance that we'll get a first-time race winner here today.
That's, well, if we do the math here, 5 out of 12. So it's
about half.
Yeah, it's we're doing it like that. We're going to have a high possibility of there being a first-time winner today. By the way, oh, poor Alex Guillon.
He's doing the right thing, though. He's running as high as he can, staying completely out of the way at this point in time. And I guess if you have any more cautions, you never know what will happen with him and in that race to try and accumulate some championship points. Let's look forward, Dylan. While these guys continue scrapping it out, we're about 16 laps into the fuel stint right now, so we're getting into the halfway point of the stint. Let's look forward to the next couple of races because, like I said at the start, 5 consecutive speedway races now before we return to a road course. Next time around, New Hampshire, then Iowa, Worldwide Technology Raceway, and then Michigan to round out that 5-race stretch. Would you agree that New Hampshire counts as a short track, especially in these cars? We're looking at 3 back-to-back short tracks in this Lotus 79.
Yes, I think it counts as a short track. What I've seen, obviously, in very different cars, very different conditions, with the IR-18 is it's basically only the high line, and because of how rough the surface can be at different parts of the corners there at New Hampshire, go lower at your own risk. That's kind of how I look at New Hampshire. By the way, it's good to have insight from the drivers, especially in the YouTube chat, because what everyone is saying is that while it is, like, why not? Why not take tires? That's what we were talking about. They're saying that you get much faster, and I think you might have mentioned that, Arjuna, before, much faster as the tires wear out, so you can throw away a win if you do potentially take tires here at any point remaining in the race.
Not going to lie, that part is news to me. I know the car becomes a rocket ship as the fuel burns off, but something that we should then watch out for over the course of the next couple of races, especially when it comes to the oval. Benji down the inside of George Anzaldo, nothing doing there, and David Sirois is almost half a second clear. 6/10 at the line, 75 laps in the books. We are getting towards the closing stages of today's action.
This is where the podcast starts to come into play, because all of these drivers have started to, I mean, I don't want to say clear out of the way, but it's where they're able to get in line and start being a little bit less racy as we see a potential move for second. Caleb Bensi trying to go around George Anzaldo on the outside. Not working out, but looks like Trevor Malone has the momentum.
Oh, but Benshi down all the way to the inside of Anzaldo, who's a bit late trying to cover him off. That might be Benshi to second place, and indeed a nose in front coming out of turn number 2. Some wonderful camera angles. Shout out to RaceSpot's own Tyler Maxson. There's this wonderful camera that we've been getting once in a while that's literally in the middle of the back straightaway, and you get the cars flying over the top of you. It's a really exhilarating look at these Lotus 79s as the battle for second. And it starts to close very slightly on your race leader once more.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see if they're able to work together and stop swapping so many positions between second, third, and fourth. I think Siwa is going to be caught up to. But there's another wrinkle. I feel like there's another wrinkle that has yet to kind of come into effect. Obviously, we still have a pit stop that is needed for every driver in the field. But if we go green the rest of the way, these drivers haven't really had to come down into pit lane in green flag conditions today. So while we've had very few cautions, you know, it's still a very crash-filled race.
You are watching RaceSpot TV and coverage of the Global Electronics Technology 175 presented by Minus 273. Don't go anywhere. The closing stage is coming up right after this. Welcome back to RaceSpot TV for coverage of the Global Electronic Technology 175, Round 10 of the Lionheart Retro Series. My name is Arjuna Kangapati. Alongside in the RaceSpot TV commentary booth is Dylan Coyle. This has been a chaotic race. We started with 27 cars as we work our way into the closing stages of the race. Dylan, just 12 cars left on the leading lap.
And you can already see that they've caught up to the leader in David Sira, and he has been pushed back down into now second position. These drivers are getting a little bit more racy. Could we see some more fisticuffs here?
No. Stop putting the commentator's curse out on these drivers, Dylan.
Oh, that's not a commentator's curse. That is a commentator's potentially coming true. That's not a curse. That's not a jinx. That is a prediction.
Well, they're going 3 wide. Richie Hearn had been doing a very impressive job to carve his way through the small field, but now slightly dropping back. He is still in 5th position, but of course, those constant internet issues that he does have will be making him just leave a little bit more space for the rest of the drivers. Look who's being thrown into the mix. It's Ariel Alanis, one of the biggest movers on the day. 21 positions gained in a day that really attrition has been a contributing factor to some of these cars working their way up through the field. As on the left-hand side of your screen, you can see those movers and shakers. Basically, everyone in the top 10 is up double-digit positions at this point in time, Dylan.
pretty much everybody in the top 5, I mean, everybody in the top 5 have never won a race here yet. 3 wide for first.
3 wide, and like you said, drivers that are looking for their first victory. Alanis almost gets squeezed into Anzaldo. He'll drive up the track, but the team race first driver of Benji will try and get that momentum and move himself into second position. On the inside line, David Sirwa, former race leader, trying to regain the stranglehold that he had at the front of your field. Into that pit stop window, Dylan, so if we get another caution or someone decides to be brave, you could come down this time around.
Do you think they're going to wait until potentially the last second?
I would do so.
I would do it as well. But then again, I'm not a great driver.
Don't sell yourself short. We always enjoy watching you, and as our in-race reporter on a Monday night, it's always fun. Almost 4 wide for a second, I think, as that's Richie Hearn in that pink machine alongside of Caleb Benchi, who's now been bundled down to 7th position. That just shows how important momentum here is at Twin Ring Motegi for the race lead. Here we go. It's Alanis to the outside. Which way does David Sirwa go?
Oh, this is going to be hairy going into corner number 3. They all give each other a good amount of space to run
puff
with,
of smoke. Who's around? Mike Rasmus, I think, involved.
No!
That's that yellow flag we were thinking might happen. Jason Galvin gets mixed up in the 42.
Oh my goodness. I mean, this is where you're going to start to pit. Yeah, the issue really came down with a lack of awareness, maybe with the spotters. Mike's came down into Bensi. I'm not sure if they were never completely side by side, so we'll get in the replay here. Just Mike's tried to shut the door. The door was already kind of left open here.
Yeah, I don't even think he realized that car was sitting there coming down to the apex of the corner, and so Mike's is indeed that car that makes the contact. And well, now we will see everyone down on pit road for the final time in today's race. 4th caution of the day, and if we get to the end from here, Dylan, it will go in the history books as the cleanest race that the Retro Series has had at Motegi. I don't think that really tells the full story.
You did not just say that. The irony.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I know. It was.
That's awesome.
I know, exactly. It's just something that popped out to my mind. Here we go then, down onto pit road. Interesting to note that Anzaldo has stayed out there for the time being. Would suspect he will come down at some point in time, but he will have lost a little bit of track position. Don't think anyone else has stayed out this time around then, Dylan.
Well, we have 2 drivers staying out. George Anzaldo and the man who is not going to get a wave around, Alex Guyon, because George Anzaldo stayed out.
Guyon still
like
out.
It mattered.
Exactly, I was going to say, just out there with the damaged car. Taylor is net second out of pit road. Mike Rasmus only 2 positions behind him, so second and first in the championship coming out in that order. Really, this is important when it comes to those championship points, because even if these guys don't make it to the end now, Dylan, they may still be looking at top 10 positions.
Yeah. You know, I do wonder if it really matters, or if it's worse to be in first on the start of these restarts, because you're a sitting duck. You are absolutely going to get swamped down the backstretch.
It's down that back straight and in towards turn number 3 where we see the swamp, the real momentum being built up and the passes happen. I would maybe wonder if Anzaldo is going to come down or not. He's not indicating like he is right now, but this would you would think with 24 to go would be the best time to come down. He's 34 laps into his stint. He is not coming down.
I don't get it. I don't get it.
Confusion. I think that's the only thing you can say here in the racespottv commentary booth. Not exactly sure if we can figure out what's going on. I tell you what, we might have a driver interview standing by, so let's bring in Jason Galvin in the 42. Jason, we got a copy on you?
Yeah, you got me, Arjuna?
We got you loud and clear. Chaotic race. I think that's the least we can say, Jason. You had a bit of a brown pants moment with DJ Clark and a hardware failure, but talk to us about how racy things have been and just how aggressive some of these drivers have been so far.
Man, if that was the only brown pants moment you caught from me, you missed some stuff. I mean, the first big yellow, I had somebody flip through me and got the 4X. The second big yellow happened right in front of me. There were some other moments, and then you mentioned the DJ equipment failure. But I don't know. It's a little frustrating because to tell you that I think I have the fastest lap in the race, and Mike and Chris and I and my teammates were just cruising, trying to get to the last pit stop there. So I'm a little disappointed with how that ended. I've not run all year, and this is my race, and I love this track so much. But guys are being super aggressive. The problem here, Arjun, and this is something that I know you have experience with this car, especially at a track like this. This track is really difficult in this car if you're not used to racing it on ovals because of weight transfer. And I think that's honestly what just happened there with Caleb. And it caught somebody out real early with Matt Taylor and somebody else I saw get up into the wall. If you lift too much, it's like counter to what you think you need to do in a race car, right? You get into a corner real hard and you're like, oh, I need to lift. And if you do that here in this thing, it's just death. But it's a great setup. I mean, kudos to Andrew. Every year that the Retro Series runs here, the setup's great. And I think we're going to get a great finish if it stays green.
I think so too. Talk to us as well about the sponsor, Global Electronic Technology, Jason, because you, of course, had that onboard camera. What's it like to have their support here today? Yeah,
thanks, Arjuna. I love everything that Global has done for me and our family. Global Electronic Technology, fastest name in credit card processing. If you own a business, you know somebody who owns a business, they take credit cards, they need to have a conversation with me or somebody at Global, gettrx.com. Point of sale, e-commerce, it doesn't matter, from your local farm at the farmer's market to your chain restaurant and everything in between. We're going to save you money. We're going to give you the best service. You're going to have somebody's cell phone number if you ever have a problem that you can contact 24/7, 365. And, they've always supported me, not just online racing, but the real-life race cars, too. So somebody can, you can get a hold of me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all the social media accounts, jgalvin at gettrx.com if you want to find out more. And we have a great 15% referral program, too. So if you got a friend, refer them, and you can make 15% every month just for referring them.
Thanks for joining us, Jason. We are back to the green flag action. You did see George Anzaldo coming down on towards pit road at that very last time of asking Dylan. It is 21 laps to go, and I think Jason is right. This might be another photo finish.
Yeah, I wouldn't be shocked if we have another photo finish with every single driver left in the field, and this is where we're going to start to see the raciness come into play in a big level. I mean, we're around 10, 11, 12 minutes from this race being over if we go green all the way. I still think there's more wrinkles to come, but they all are good to go for the rest of the race in terms of fuel. There's no reason to go into the pits, even under yellow anymore. So it's just a flat-out run to the finish, and we're going 3 wide into turn 3 on the backstretch. Could they do 4? Nope, not even gonna attempt it, Mike Rasmussen. He's got a championship to worry about.
Well, that's what I think. Taylor is also just trying to run Alanis up the road and give him as much dirty air as possible. 20 to go. It's 19 at the line, and it's Taylor at the front of the field. The championship leader sits in 4th position, but really, any one of these drivers could win. And I still think, Dylan, we may have a first-time winner here today. I don't think Taylor and Rasmussen are going to have it easy. Cyril has been up at the front this entire race.
Yeah, I mean, when the entirety of the race is basically between 10 guys, yeah, it's not too hard. I'm like, he's doing a great job, yeah. But it's true. He has done a very nice job in this field, albeit small, of staying up front, being right where the action is happening with lead changes. And that's a really good, it's a sign of a really good oval driver.
And I mean, 15th in the points coming into this one for Cyril. He will definitely make his way up the running order if things hold as they are. Richie Hearn gets past Chris Lanini, at least for the time being, into 50s. Now around Ariel Alanis as side by side they will exit turn number 4. Taylor has a little bit of clean air at this point in time, but the question I really have is how patient is Mike Rasmussen going to be? Because I would suspect he is going to be more protective, Dylan, of just finishing this race. Forget the win, forget a podium. He wants the points on offer. He's not going to risk anything as here comes Richie Hearn.
Richie Hearn, he is going down the middle, cutting inside. Oh, he's a little bit loose. Hold on to the car, Richie. He's not going to have that run on the outside, though, because of that wiggle. Oh, and he disappears.
Oh, and he's back, and I think maybe scares David Sirra, who pops into line in front of Mike Rasmas. Of course, this is the type of car that Richie Hearn would have been more familiar with. We see him in the Lionheart IndyCar Series driving around in a Dallara IR18, but this is much more old school. This is much more like the type of experience that Hearn would have been used to. Sirra down the inside for the race lead. Taylor will hold on for now, but through turn number 3 and 4, look at Alanis on the outside line.
I gotta say, I love how aggressive that Hearn is getting with pinching these drivers from the outside down to that very inside white line there. He's doing a great job of it, really giving them no option of where to go. They gotta just let the car rotate without having any grip lost.
And it's forcing Sirwa to make his moves to the inside of Matt Taylor. Hearn almost pokes himself in towards Taylor, checks himself up. That will allow Rasmas to slip it through into third. Look at Anzaldo trying to get back to the front of the field as we're going almost 3 wide across the start-finish line.
Call it luck, call it skill, call it putting yourself in the right place at the right time. All of these drivers remaining have avoided all the major wrecks, all of the major incidents, and they all have an opportunity to win here at Twin Ring Motegi with 14 to go. Anzaldo, he's going around the outside. Will he get the move done? The league administrator, this would be so awesome to see him get a win.
I think Taylor will hold on for now, but look at Anzaldo to build up that momentum and pop himself around the outside of turns 1 and 2. Richie Hearn, by the way, does have experience of racing here in the real world, by the way, Dylan. Back in 1998 and 1999, he did come to this Twin Ring Motegi for the 1990. This was a 500-kilometer race, I would postulate, but interesting just to see the heritage that this track has of IndyCar and American open-wheel competition.
I gotta say, though, Hearn is very loose right now. Not only is his Ethernet wire loose, but also that car. He's going down the inside. He's aggressive, and he's really making it work here. Oh, man, but you can see the slip angle. It's pretty large right here, and he's going to get a lot of speed going around the outside. Oh, but that blinking, that's going to be hard to contend with.
25 positions gained as he pops himself into the race lead, at least for the time being. He will lose momentum on the entry to turn 3, and I think just being quite cautious at this point in time. There is still 11 laps to go, and it really is anyone's game. Let's get another prediction from you, Dylan. We're hoping you won't curse anyone like you did with Aaron Morgan, but it's looking like Richie Hearn might be the class of the field at this point in time.
Trevor Malone. Trevor Malone is going to get those demons out of what happened at Homestead, and he's going to win.
We jump on board with the teal number 34 and take a look at his onboard look of the battle for the race lead. Hearn is down into third, and Zaldo has slid up into his path and stolen second away from him, ducking to the inside as he tries to get below, heading into turn number 1. Nothing doing now. 10 laps to go. It is anyone's game from Twin Ring Motegi.
You know, my pick is now behind the blinking Richie Hearn. What does that do for a driver's psyche?
It's difficult because I think in a league like this, as 3 wide, Rasmas pokes himself up to the outside groove. In a league like this where people know Richie has these internet issues, but they also know just how respectful he can be, Dylan.
Look at Malone.
I don't think it necessarily comes into their thinking too much, as Malone trying to get a move into the top 5, but kind of getting blocked off by Richie Hearn.
Hearn has so much speed. It's just, I really want to see what he's able to do.
Here he comes. Here he comes to the outside line. Nothing doing for now, but around the championship leader drops Rasmas into 4th position. Now into 5th. The Sirra is side by side with him. I'm going to say Taylor has this under control. He took the win here 12 months ago. It is looking like he will double up here from Twin Ring Motegi.
It's a good pick. I'm putting my money on Malone. I think Malone has not shown himself up top for pretty much the entire race. I think he saved all of his stuff for the very end, and look at the run he is getting as they're going 3 wide into this corner. Obviously, we have some lap traffic right here in the form of Alex Guillaume, but Ooh, this might affect some drivers' exit. It definitely did.
New race leader Anzaldo to the point, snaking down to the inside of the track. It is 7 laps to go. What does Taylor have to respond? Because Richie Hearn is back into 3rd position and blinking very slightly. Let's see if Richie Hearn goes to the outside, because if anything, Dylan, you want to be on the inside heading into turn number 3.
Well, if anything, you want to be able to use the entirety of the track here, but I feel like all the drivers here, they like to cut down the line instead of going all the way from the wall down to the apex like you typically would see from every corner in every racing circuit. They really like going from the middle, even down low. It doesn't really hurt their turning radius.
All right, here we go. Out of turn 2, 3 wide. It's Razmas and Taylor. Taylor's forced to jink back to the inside. The championship leaders are squabbling for the point.
Oh,
and Saldo's around.
Oh, no!
That's going to bring out the caution. Malone and Hearn get involved. And I tell you what, we will have a 3-lap shootout, as I think that's Cody Wenzen. 1 point, he was leading the race. He's now lost his rear wing.
Okay, so I'm sorry, Trevor. I'm really sorry.
You did it again.
You said Richie. You said Richie was the class of the field so far.
I did. Let's be honest. We don't have a good track record here. Let's look at this.
No one has a good track record here.
No, that's true. Let's look at this aerial coverage brought to us by ATVO, the graphical partners at racespottv, and just take a look at this. Anzaldo into the corner, loses the rear end. Hearn up the track, unable to avoid Malone, straight into those cars. Cody Wenzen, I think, lost it by himself there.
What in the world happened there with Cody Wenzen?
Well, I tell you what, we've got 2 onboards that I want to try and take a look at. Let's start with George Anzaldo here. Off the throttle, and instantly that car steps around on him. This is Cody Wenzen's viewpoint, and a very similar incident. He snaps around and just unable to hold on to that car.
So yes, your car is a lot faster, but a lot looser. That's what happens when you don't change tires.
I think that wasn't tires. I think that was what Jason Galvin was talking about, weight transfer.
Ah, you know what? You have a good point there. Real quick, I just want to say the one prediction I did have that came true was there's fewer than 10 cars on the track.
Well, I'm going to say that wasn't a prediction. That was indeed a commentator's curse.
Again, I don't think it was a commentator's curse. I said I think there would be less than 10 on track, and it came true. Now, if I said that there would be more than 10 and it didn't happen, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Yes, but I don't want to let you get away with it. That's for sure.
Okay, fine. By the way, first and second, Matt Taylor, Mike Razmas.
It was the other way around from Wine Country. The lights are still on the pace car, so at most it's going to be 3 to go. I think it might be 3 to go.
Well, if it's 4 to go now, they'll cross the line with 3 to go, and since the lights are still on, they'll still have at least 1 more lap. I think it's going to be a 2-lap shootout.
So that's going to be about 3 miles here. Well, calm down. Catch your breath if you're watching along with us on racespottv or ESTV here. Getting word in the YouTube chat, that might be what happens when you tap the brakes in towards turn number 3. So, again, we talked about it at the start of the race in our event details, Dylan. It was about minimizing the brakes. Make sure you're very careful about how you use them. I think Galvin is right. That was ultimately weight transfer that caused Anzaldo to slip around. Wenzen, coming into that corner, I guess didn't have too much time to react, and a very similar thing happened.
Yeah, that's what I think as well. By the way, the caution lights are still on.
It will be 2 to
3
go.
to go.
No, it will. Wait, it will be 1 to go.
Could this be it?
It's not going to be it, but I think it will be 1 to go. The light should come out the next time around. We are looking at 1 to go here,
which would make it a 1-lap shootout.
1.5 miles to determine your winner in the Global Electronic Technology 175 presented by Minus 273. And I tell you what, you mentioned it on that last restart, Dylan. You do not want to be the race leader coming down this back straightaway. Look out for Sirwal. Look out for Razmas.
I mean, you go down the entire way. Look out for Anzaldo. He was just involved in that incident. He's in 7th.
I think he's a little bit too far behind, if I'm being honest, though.
Yeah, but think of it this way. There's going to be some contact somewhere in this final lap.
Well, we're about to get the answer as to whether it will be one to go. Will it be a one-lap shootout or will it not be? We're about to find out as the iRacing pace truck makes its way out of turn number 4.
How unfortunate would it be?
Oh, it would be a shame because it was really shaping up to be a electric finish. It might still be a photo finish like we saw back in Season 3. The margins were oh so tight then, 900ths of a second. Here we go, we're going to get the answer. Lights are off on the pace car.
Oh, we're going to go one-lap shootout to end at Twin Ring Motegi. I mean, what a weird race.
So let's just remind people, in the top 4, Matt Taylor, Mike Rasmas, David Sirois, Chris Lanini, and I tell you what, throw in Ariel Alanis and Robert Mikes, even Caleb Benchy into that one, as George Anzaldo has come down onto pit road. I think there's some potential damage to his number 6 car. Out of these 7 drivers, 3 of them have not taken victory in the Lionheart Retro Series before.
And out of the top 2, just to remind you, Mike Rasmas leads Matt Taylor by 13 points in the championship right now.
This is crucial. I mean, ultimately, it's hard to explain just how important this race is, Dylan, not just in terms of the actual points, but momentum heading to 3 short tracks, which we've seen how difficult this race was. Those are going to be equally difficult in a very different way.
It's all about survival, and these drivers are getting ready for it. What a weird, tipsy-turvy, everything could have went wrong kind of race. And now, 8 drivers are going to compete on the final lap.
But ultimately, like Dylan points out, it's the championship leaders out front. Green flag flies at the same time as the white flag. This is that run in towards turn 3 that we are all waiting to see in the Global Electronic Technology 175, presented by -273. The front 4 have kind of run away very slightly. I think it's now only between Taylor, Rasmas, Sirois, and Lanini. Which way is Rasmas going to go? Taylor forces him to look to the outside line. Out of turn number 4, it will be a drag race to the line, but I think after taking his first victory in Lionheart Retro Series competition here 12 months ago, Matt Taylor doubles up from Twin Ring Motegi. He wins the Global Electronic Technology 175, presented by -273.
Well, everything we said about being in first place on the last lap did not matter, because Matt Taylor took the white flag, took the green flag, and said, this is my race. And he had a fantastic jump at the restart.
And you know what he did, Dylan, that I think secured him the victory? He went as soon as he could go. Rasmas was clearly not ready for that, and Taylor took full advantage, his second Lionheart Retro Series victory.
Let's see the donuts here.
Well, he's got a wide racetrack here, so there should be no danger of him making any sorts of mistakes. He has well and truly earned this victory celebration. It was not easy, but Matt Taylor takes the victory. Only 1 position gained, it will show on the timing sheet, but ultimately he was down after that first caution period and had to fight his way back to the front of the field.
I love this burnout, by the way. No smoke.
Should have plenty of fuel, but I tell you what, I think maybe a little bit just exhausted by how crazy the race was, even after all his competitors fell by the wayside. Let's take a look at these unofficial race results presented by Carnox, and I say unofficial because, well, Race Control is going to have to take a look at the carnage in those first couple of cautions, and I'm sure they'll have something to say. The question is exactly what will happen. Taylor takes victory by 0.3 of a second. First and second in the championship, Taylor might just have closed that gap that little bit more. David Sirois was looking very impressive for Lavoie Motorsports. 3rd place to him, the final podium position. Lavoie Motorsports continues to take impressive strides in this Lotus 79. Chris Lanini in 4th, and then you can see the gap that was built back to Ariel Alanis, almost 1 full second to 5th, with Robert Mike 6th and Caleb Benchy, the last car on the lead lap. Yes, only 7 cars finished on the leading lap. Trevor Malone in 9th with George Anzaldo in 8th. Trevor Malone in 9th with Cody Wenzen rounding out the top 10. Richie Hearn, heartbreak for him in the closing stages. He was looking very, very strong. He finishes 11th along with Alex Guyon in 12th. Jason Galvin, we had the opportunity to talk to the number 42 car. He finishes in 13th with DJ Clark, an unfortunate hardware failure, leaving him in 14th position. Jean-Francois Matt in 15th, Aaron Morgan 16th, with Craig Forsyth, Chris Staples, Mike Rigney, and Paul Jenkins rounding out the top 20 cars. Isaac Snyder, Ricky Harding, Nick DeGroot, Chris Fowler, Chris Reagan, Michael O'Brien, and Gary Corley. There are so many retirements here, and ultimately, Dylan, it's going to be very interesting how these championship pictures change now here today.
I mean, and add in the fact that Sage Karam wasn't involved in this race whatsoever. So many weird championship implications, except for the top 2 in the championship, the top 2 in the race.
And we need to talk about Sage not being here. I mean, yes, he was on his honeymoon. Congratulations to Mr. and Mrs. Karam on their wedding, which it looked like a lot of fun. Sage, of course, had a black eye from wrestling with his father the day before, but ultimately, he was suspended from the last race, Dylan. He didn't listen to race control. That's not what you want to hear. He's got a lot of work to do when he comes back to fight for his first Lionheart Championship.
Yeah, I feel like Sage Karam, I mean, he was, going into this race, the all-time laps led leader at Twin Ring Motegi in the Lionheart Retro Series, but he hadn't won. I feel like that's been the story of his entire career in the Retro Series. Always the dominant driver, but can never completely finish the job.
I tell you what, let's make our way down in towards HyperX Victory Lane. But let's talk about the HyperX post-race show, because the Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows that we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperxgaming.com, and don't forget to use the promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15, for 15% off all orders. And so let's make our way down in towards HyperX Victory Lane and bring in your winner from Twin Ring Motegi for the second time in 12 months' time. Matt Taylor, your second victory in this competition. It comes at a crucial time in the championship picture.
Oh yeah, this is awesome. What a scary opening portion of this race, though. Guys were flying all over the place, and once, unfortunately, O'Brien had contact early on, and that was kind of a red flag to me to bail out, and I was just ready to go to the back and hang out there, and that absolutely paid off.
So that explains it. My next question was going to be, did you have some damage that you came down and then worked your way to the back? So talk to us a little bit just about that initial carnage. I mean, not once but twice we saw, 4 and 5 wide ending in disaster. It was a race where we thought that would happen, but it's not a race where we wanted to see just 7 cars finish on the leading lap.
No, it's a track and racing style that inspires, I think, a lot of confidence in guys, but you slip up or somebody chooses the wrong lane, or there's a lot that can happen when we pack that many cars in that tight of a space. Wasn't sure how that was going to play out, and with as aggressive as everyone was willing to be, once Michael got hit, I was perfectly fine just kind of bailing to the back and letting that play out. And still, we had some huge wrecks there that I was really fortunate to get through.
And now, in terms of that championship fight, it was the reverse when we were in wine country just a couple of weeks ago. Razmas taking the victory from you. What's it like heading into the second half of the season, knowing that you guys are now in front of Sage Karam, the championship favorite, for much of the first half of the season? 4 more ovals to go before we return to a road course. What do you need to continue this championship momentum?
I need these short ovals. For whatever reason, they seem to suit me really well. I had really good pace at New Hampshire last season. I had really good pace at Iowa, and I'll be looking to score at least some top 5s there. The big pack races, Michigan and Auto Club, it's hard to say, but we don't have as many road courses coming down the stretch here. So I think I can capitalize on these shorter ovals. We'll see how this plays out, though. Mike's a really good driver. This is going to be fun.
And one more question. I do want to ask about the team's championship as well. Michael O'Brien and Aaron Morgan both having some issues. You guys have a very comfortable gap at the front of the field. What's been crucial, I should say, in this consistent run that you guys have had? Almost 250 points clear of the guys behind you.
We just got 3 really good drivers. We're sharing all sorts of information. And it works really well. Although if somebody could tell me how Michael O'Brien keeps scoring poles, that would help because he doesn't even know.
Congratulations, Matt. Your second victory in this competition, your second victory at Twin Ring Motegi. Let's see what the short ovals hold for your championship fight.
Heck yeah.
Very, very excited is Matt Taylor. Let's bring in the championship leader as we came into this race. Let's talk to Mike Rasmas. And Mike, it was victory last time around for you and 15 positions gained. Not the easiest qualifying. What was it like working your way through the carnage in the first 30 laps of this race?
Yeah, that was a wild race. I can't believe I made it to the end, so I'm definitely going to take a P2 out of all that, all the carnage. Yeah, the qualifying was rough. I guess I just missed it. I don't know. I wasn't focused and started in the mid-pack and then tried to hang out, make sure I avoided anything that was going on, and luckily it was there at the end.
In terms of that championship picture, did you know that with you and Matt Taylor scrapping it out so closely and having passed Sage Karam with his difficulties last time around, did you know that it was going to be important to just stay calm, wait to get to the end, and then fight as hard as you could there? Because really, a top 3, given where you struggled in qualifying, I bet you're delighted, and the championship fight between the two of you is looking exciting in the second half of 2021.
Yeah, I'm really pumped about racing with Matt and some other guys, Aaron and Michael O'Brien, Chris Reagan. They're all really solid drivers, and a lot of these ovals they're just kind of luck of the draw if you get wrecked or not. So I mean, there's so many ovals coming up, and it's really important for me to try to survive till the end. And I think Matt and the other guys are doing the same thing. We're trying to keep our heads until the end of the race, and then hopefully get the best position we can.
We talked to Matt just a moment ago. He said the short ovals, the 3 of them coming up, are races that he is really looking forward to. What are your highlights on this run into the championship finale at Auto Club? Where do you think you are going to be stronger than Matt Taylor?
I think he's just about as good as me at pretty much any track, if not slightly better. So he's super talented, and he's been really, really fast this season. And I'm looking forward to doing my best, basically. We'll see how it ends up. I really love New Hampshire, and I'm looking forward to the road courses at the end of the season as well.
Well, congratulations on your second here today, Mike. You and Matt are going to put on a championship show, and we cannot wait to see it here on racespottv.
Cheers.
So that was Mike Rasmas, the number 68 car. Let's bring in, for the first time this season, I'm sure, a man who was very happy not just to get to the finish, but his first ever podium in the Lionheart Retro Series. David Sirwa, we got a copy with you.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it was a fun race. For once, I was having fun on an oval track. I'm very happy to be on the podium for the first time.
My first question to you, David, is going to be, what time is it for you? Because I'm not sure which part of the world you're in, but if you're in Europe, it might be a rather late night for you.
Yeah, I'm in Quebec, Canada, so it's about midnight and a half.
So it could be slightly worse. You said the first time you've enjoyed success on the oval here. I think you and your teammates were a bit more confident on the heading into the season on the road course side of things. What's it been like getting up to speed in what is a very competitive league in this Lotus 79, where really to fight for a championship you need to master not just the road courses but the speedways as well?
Yeah, Jean-François and Alex are very good on ovals, and they are very solid drivers on both ovals and the road track. Here it was a different track with third and fourth, turn 3 and 4 in third gear. It was making racing enjoyable, and we did little more practice, especially in the qualification. So yeah, it was a good race for everyone.
What momentum have you guys been building up? Because all 3 of you have been getting increasingly strong, and as an organization, I'm sure that's very promising for you guys to continue to build up the strength, to continue to be strong. A podium here for you today.
Yeah, we are working very well together, and communication is very good, and we practice not as much as we would like to, but we are stronger and stronger race after race, and we are learning the race, the car, and learn how to drive it fast, and it's coming very good.
Congratulations, David. Hopefully this is the first of many podiums here in the Lionheart Retro Series. Congratulations, and go get some sleep.
Thank you, bye.
Oh, I love the excitement when you hear it from the drivers, Dylan. It's something else, and like it's midnight for you as well. The adrenaline that goes through these drivers' veins. He's going to be up, I think, for a couple of hours more.
Yeah, I mean, you could tell the excitement just from him leaving the interview. Okay, bye. Like, he's excited. Yeah, oh man, that's awesome. Could you imagine if he had won that race? He would have been so elated.
Let's talk about the elephant in the room, Dylan. Your commentator's curses were pretty bad that race.
Okay.
I'm pretty glad that I didn't curse Matt Taylor at the end. I'm just saying. I'm very glad, because otherwise you'd be right on my case right now.
Yeah, I see the Discord messages. Okay, I see the I see the commentator's curse coming in to play, and I'm so sorry. I've learned from the best.
That is true. I am very much the king of those commentators' curses. Let's talk then about the schedule before we say goodbye. We are now into this back half of the season. 3 short tracks to continue this run of speedways: New Hampshire, Iowa, and Gateway. That takes us through to the start of September. It's almost a full month's wait before we head to the Michigan International Speedway for what is going to be, I'm sure, a very similar race to what we saw today. Then, 3 road courses: Silverstone, Long Beach, Road America, and our championship finale, the Triple Crown finale. We head to Fontana to close things off. I cannot wait, Dylan, till we get to December 16th. The championship is likely to still be on the line.
I gotta say, while I love Indianapolis, I feel like there's no better race to have in the Triple Crown, except for Indy, than Fontana, especially with it being the final race of the season. All of the drama. I mean, that's the race, that's the track I grew up with IndyCar going to and ending their season with. And just to have it here with the Retro Series and the league ending there is just, it feels right.
Oh, the points difference between the championship protagonists is down to 8 points now. Taylor is only single digits away from Rasmussen, and I tell you what, Aaron Morgan has moved himself up into 3rd despite the difficulties that he had today. He'll be pretty heartbroken, Dylan, to have not secured a top 10 finish to keep himself in and around that championship hunt.
Yeah, that's a shame, but you know what? It's just that kind of race, right? Like, it's there's not much you can do when a quarter of the field is left standing. That's I'll call this an anomaly.
Well, he has been rather unfortunate, I think, on the ovals, not just here in the Lotus 79, but across of the competitions he runs here in the Lionheart Racing Series. And speaking of the Lionheart Racing Series, we have so many wonderful names to thank for helping to empower the likes of George Anzaldo to continue growing this wonderful competition. The SimXperience AccuForce Pro V2 is the premier professional simulation racing steering system. The key to its incredible realism is the groundbreaking direct drive motor control system, providing a driving experience that's second only to the real thing. For more information on the entire SimXperience ecosystem, visit simexperience.com. The Lionheart Racing Series is powered by HyperX, makers of premier gaming gear like the legendary ultra-comfortable Cloud line of gaming headsets. Whatever you play, however you play, HyperX knows that we're all gamers. For more information on HyperX products, visit hyperxgaming.com, and don't forget to use the promo code Lionheart15, that's LIONHRT15, for 15% off all orders. For sim racers, the buttkicker Gamer 2 or Simulation Kit has the missing driver-to-car connection, bringing more realism to your sessions. By accurately responding to in-game audio, you can feel the track like never before, providing increased vehicle handling and faster lap times. Are you ready for the most immersive experience in sim racing? Well, for more information, visit thebuttkicker.com, and don't forget to use the promo code LION2021 for 20% off all orders. Minus 273 is the premier name in karting gloves. Their industry-leading gloves are super lightweight and durable, made of a breathable poly spandex. Whether you're a kart or a sim racer, Minus 273 gives you the control to reach victory lane. For more information on Minus 273's full line of gloves and apparel, visit minus273.biz, and don't forget to also use the promo code Minus273LHRS15 for 15% off all orders. Looking for entertaining sim racing content? Look no further than the DMLC Racing channel. Follow former Lionheart Retro Series Driver of the Year and winner of both of our Triple Crown races so far in 2021, Mark Cohn's racing escapades as he battles for wins and avoids wrecks with cat-like reflexes, all while providing commentary sure to make you laugh, cry, or both. Follow along by subscribing to the DMLC Racing channel on YouTube and like his Facebook page at the DMLC Racing channel. It's not just those names, but so many more that help bring the Lionheart Racing Series to your screens. To learn more about these names, or to learn more about the 3 competitions the sanctioning body puts on, visit lionheartracingseries.com and visit the series Discord to stay involved with the virtual paddock. Plenty more esports action to come. To stay up to date with the latest comings and goings from Lionheart, you can follow them on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. ESTV has you covered for your esports need. Stay up to date with them as well on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. Here on RaceSpot, we've got all of your sim racing needs covered. Follow us on YouTube by hitting that red subscribe button and the bell next to it to get notified every single time we go live with the great sim racing series that we get to cover. You can also keep up with us on social media at racespottv. Well, what a bloodbath we saw in the opening laps here of the Global Electronic Technology 175 presented by Minus 273. But what a finish we saw. The championship has continued to get closer and closer. It is Matt Taylor, it is Mike Razmas putting on a show and fighting for the 2021 Lionheart Retro Series title. Lots more Lionheart action to come here in the month of July. Stay tuned next Wednesday as the Lionheart IndyCar Series visits Silverstone as they continue their charge to the title as Adam Blocker looks for his 4th consecutive win in this championship. For the entire team at RaceSpot TV, we'd like to thank ATVO, our graphical partners, for not only providing our live timing, but our entire 2021 graphics package. Nick Thisson, Simon Grossman, and Kevin Niatola, thank you for all of your hard work, and we'll continue to add new things here in 2021. Tyler Maxson designs all of our RaceSpot TV camera packs here from Motegi. Thank you to him, as well as designing our wonderful car cameras. For my co-commentator Dylan Cole, my name is Arjuna Kankipati. What a race we had here today. We'll see you in a couple of weeks' time as we go short track racing in the Lionheart Retro Series.